What's up, Algebra 2? It has been a hot minute since I have shown myself on camera, and so here I am in all of my glory, ready to go over this example with you guys. So in this video, we'll be looking at an equation, and we'll be able to look at that equation and get some key information so that we'll be able to graph a sketch of a polynomial function, and then we'll be able to double check our answers using either a graphing calculator or Desmos. Let's get into it. So let's go ahead and just see this first question up here. So we're given this equation up at the top, and the first question is asking us, what are the zeros of f of x? Well, to look at the zeros, what's nice is that my equation is already written in factored form. And so when I have an equation written in factored form, I can determine what the zeros of my graph are. And remember, zeros are another word for x-intercepts. So one of my x-intercepts is going to be at x equals 0. Another one of my x-intercepts is going to be at x equals 4 because I set x minus 4, I set that factor equal to 0, add 4 to both sides, and that's where I get that positive 4 from. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this last factor. So if we set x plus 3 equal to 0, subtract 3 on both sides, we get x equals negative 3, and that is my third factor. So I can go ahead and just quickly sketch those on my graph. So x equals 0. I'm going to put negative 3 right at about here. And positive 4 at about right there. Okay, so the next thing I want to figure out is the degree. So to figure out the degree of the polynomial, we would have to multiply all of that out. However, I can just go ahead and see that if I multiply this x with this x, and then that by that last x, I would end up with something that looks like x cubed, 1x cubed to be exact. So that would be the leading term, and that would be also the degree of this function. So the degree of this polynomial is 3. And as we already saw, the leading coefficient is going to be the number in front of the term with the highest degree. So here is my leading coefficient, which is just 1. Okay, so now they want us to figure out what the y-intercept is. So to figure out the y-intercept, all I have to do is plug in 0 in for x into the equation above. So anywhere I saw an x, I've just replaced that with a 0. So this becomes 0 times negative 4 times 3. Now 0 times anything is always going to be 0. So my y-intercept is still at 0, 0. So the y-intercept is at 0, 0. Okay, so now we can use the information above to just sketch a quick graph of our polynomial function. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and use the degree and the leading coefficient to figure out what the end behavior is first. So since I've got an odd degree, I know that the shape of my graph is going to look like one of these two options. To figure out which one, we look at our leading coefficient. Since it's 1 and since that number is positive, our end behavior or our graph is going to have the shape that I just circled. So our graph is going to look a little bit like this. So that's just my first quick sketch of my graph. Now I can go ahead and just confirm this on my graphing calculator by typing in that equation into y equals and then graphing it, or I can use Desmos. I'm going to go ahead and pull up Desmos because I've got that page ready for us. And that's about what I have as well, but I'm going to make this sketch just a little more accurate to what's shown on Desmos. Okay, so that's a little better than what I had before. It's a little more accurate, so I've gone ahead and drawn my second draft of my sketch. So anytime we make our sketch, we've got the tools, and you definitely have the graphing calculator on your Chromebooks. Go ahead and just double check that on your graphing calculator and make edits so that you can create a more accurate second draft. Okay, thanks for watching. Let's do example 2.